John 7. After this, Jesus traveled through Galilee. He stayed out of Judea because the Jewish leaders wanted to kill him. Now the Jewish feast of shelters was near. So Jesus' brothers advised him, "Leave here and go to Judea so your disciples may see your miracles that you are performing. For no one who seeks to make a reputation for himself does anything in secret. If you are doing these things, show yourself to the world." For not even his own brothers believed in him. He stayed in Judea because the Jewish leaders out of Judea because the Jewish leaders wanted to kill him. And now the Jewish festival of shelters was near. Okay, that is not the way I'm used to. The festival of booths, the festival of tabernacles. The feast were lived in huts, which was celebrated in the autumn after harvest. John uses nopega for the Feast of Shelters, constitutes the only use of the term in the New Testament. Okay, that's why I was thinking that this was not usually translated as the Feast of Booths or the Feast of Tabernacles or the Feast of Shelters. So how was this translated in other versions? Let's go look here. John 7. Which verse are we in, actually? Verse 2, that's what I thought. And let's go see if it will give me in multiple ones after we look it up. Come on, look. Look. Zack attack, tip of the cap, tick of the cap, friend. Ditch, arena, the lawn is cut. Okay. It does say that Feast of Tabernacles. Okay. I just did not remember that was here. Okay, yep, they're all saying the same thing. Okay, I just, for some reason, did not remember it being the Feast of Tabernacles here. Yeah, the ditch area in the lawn is cut. Okay, so you've got the ditch area cut. That makes sense. Okay, so Jesus is staying out of the Judea because the Jewish leaders there want to kill him, but the Festival of Shelters is near, and his brothers advise him, "Hey, if you're doing all these miracles and stuff, you should go and pronounce yourself to everybody, because if you're doing it in secret, nobody will be able to see, know who you are if you don't go." We also had after this. This is John's phrase that he just continues the story. The does not indicate any clear timeline whatsoever when John is telling the story. So he is not necessarily... And the next thing I want to tell you about would be another way to maybe translate it, not just some significant time later, if you're just tracking along with John. Okay. So Jesus replied, "My time has not yet arrived, but you are ready at any opportunity. The world cannot hate you, but it hates me because I am testifying about it that its deeds are evil. You go up to the feast yourself. I am not going up to the feast because my time has not yet fully arrived." When he had said this, he remained in Galilee. All right, so Jesus replies to his brothers, "My time has not yet arrived." Anything on the footnote here? My opportunity, not right. Okay, just different phrasing is all it's doing there. The world cannot hate you. Okay, you already have opportunity. Your time is already ready. So you can go up. You are fine to make yourself known to everybody. It is not yet my time. The world hates me because I testified that its deeds are evil. You go up to the festival yourself. I am not going to the festival because my time has not yet fully arrived. So the point that they are making to Jesus is that he needs to reveal himself. His point is it's not yet time to reveal himself. That's what we have going on here. So 18, always speaking of going up to Jerusalem, Jewish idiom, you go down. Okay, so yes, going up is because you're going up to Jerusalem. It's a center of importance, and you also go up elevation, so you go up to Jerusalem. Not a big deal. Most manuscripts, including most of the better witnesses, have not yet here. I'm not going yet up to the feast because my time is not fully arrived. Those with the reading oik are not impressive, but oik is more difficult reading here, especially because it stands in tension. On the one hand, it's possible that oik arose because of the homoarchton, a copyist, who saw, okay, this is where my oikpo or in oik. However, it is more likely that oikpo was introduced early to harmonize what was said 2 verses later. As Jesus refused to go to the feast in verse 8, the statement does not preclude action of a different kind at a later point. Jesus may simply have refused to accompany his brothers with the rest of the group of the pilgrimage, preferring to travel separately in secret with his disciples. Okay, so there's a piece here where there's a lot of people will say, here, see, we have Jesus lying. He says he's not going to go, and then he goes. No, the point in some ways, I think, is his brothers are arguing he needs to go and reveal himself and go do miraculous things, and he needs to go show up and be prominent at the festival. And Jesus is saying, my time has not yet come. I'm not going to go to reveal myself. So that's, I think, what we have going on here, not a semantical argument of he's going to the feast, he's not going to the feast. So Jesus' brothers say, taunting him in essence, teasing him, why don't you go up and just show everybody, you got all these disciples and you should just reveal yourself and everyone will follow you. And he's like, my time has not yet come. The world hates me because I accuse the world of doing evil. And so I'm not going to go and reveal myself yet. But when his brothers had gone to the feast, then Jesus himself also went up, not openly, but in secret. See, he is going in secret. He is not going to reveal himself. Hence, Jesus is not contradicting himself. He is being emphatic in a way to his brothers, arguing about their expectations of him are not the proper expectations. So the Jewish leaders were looking for him at the feast, asking, where is he? There was a lot of grumbling about him among the crowd. Some were saying, he is a good man, but others, he deceives the common people. However, no one spoke openly about him for fear of the Jewish leaders. So going back to John's initial point, he's been avoiding going to Judea, where Jerusalem is, because of those who openly are wanting to harm him. So he has not gone up openly. His brothers are taunting him to go up openly. He goes up secretly. Though he's not showed up yet, he is there, and people are talking about him, but they can't even talk about him openly. When the feast was half over, Jesus went up to the temple courts and began to teach. So whether Jesus is there before halfway through the festival or not, it says he does go up secretly. He could have been there secretly, not revealing himself, but as the festival is halfway over, he now goes to the temple courts and begins to teach. Then the Jewish leaders were astonished and said, how does this man know so much when he has never had formal instructions? So Jesus replied, my teaching is not from me, but from the one who sent me. If anyone wants to do God's will, he will know about my teaching, whether it is from God or whether I am speaking from my own authority. So one of the things that we have is you did not speak on your own authority. You learned what a rabbi that was established knew. You learned how they taught it. You learned what they taught, and then you began to teach what your rabbi taught you. So you just repeat what someone else has taught you. You don't come. So the question is, he has authority. He doesn't have a rabbi. He didn't have formal training. We don't know who he's quoting. We don't know where he's getting his ideas. This is a problem to the way that they systematize their doing and teaching of Torah. So that's a problem that's going on here, and Jesus is addressing that problem. My teaching is not from me, but from the one who sent me. So they're accusing him of having his own ideas, and he's saying, no, I'm not telling my own ideas. The one who sent me. If anyone wants to do God's will. So he just said the one who sent me, and now he's saying God's will. He will know about my teachings, whether it is from God. So my teaching is from God, or whether I'm speaking on my own authority. So he's giving him two options. It's either my authority, which you are saying, or it's from God, and I'm claiming it is from God, not from my own authority. The person who speaks on his own authority desires to receive honor for himself. The one who desires the honor for the one who sent him is a man of integrity. So I am not seeking any honor for myself. I am seeking all honor for the Father. The Father is the one who sent me. Go look at your own people. How many of them want honor for themselves, not honor for the rabbi who sent them or the rabbi who teach them? No, no, no. They want honor for themselves. I, on the other hand, do not. I want honor for God. God is the one, the Father is the one who sent me. And there is no unrighteousness in him, in the man who does it this way. Hasn't Moses given you the law? Yet not one of you keeps the law. Why do you want to kill me? So, yeah, so, your desire to kill me is, in the teaching in Matthew, if you desire to kill, it's the same as killing. So you are not keeping the law by desiring to kill me. But not one of you keeps the law. What do you have here in the footnote? Accomplishes, does. Not one of you accomplishes, fulfills the law. Absolutely. Christopher, 8 days clean from any of your past sins. That is amazing. So glad to hear you. That is a continuing on for you. And that's fantastic, friend. The crowd answers, "You're possessed by a demon. Who is trying to kill you?" So the crowd, oblivious to the religious leaders, because, well, they just are trying to please the religious leaders, so they would never suspect them. Okay, here's one thing that we should be cautious of. Okay, any religious leaders today that you automatically assume is always righteous. I'm not saying we shouldn't have that it shouldn't be part of it, that it's not a bad thing. But that they can't do bad things. But there's we put them on pedestals, and here's kind of a little bit of what we have going on there too. So the crowd is accusing him of being possessed by a demon because they do not see that people are trying to kill them. Yeah, him. They're like, "What are you talking about? Nobody's trying to kill you. Nobody." Like, they just do not see what the religious leaders are actually up to. And I would say that's a caution that we should be thinking about too, is when our leaders, religious, political, or otherwise, are saying one thing to get you to go along with them, they may have other things going on that you know nothing about. Jesus replied, "I performed one miracle, and you are all amazed. However, because Moses gave you the practice of circumcision, not that it came from Moses, but from the forefathers, you circumcise a male child on the Sabbath. But if, if a male child is circumcised on the Sabbath, so the law of Moses is not broken. Why are you angry with me? Because I made a man completely well on the Sabbath. Do not judge according to external appearance, but judge with proper judgment." So they are accusing Jesus of things. They want to kill Jesus. Jesus is saying that people want to kill him. The crowd's like, what are you talking about? "I perform one miracle, and you are all amazed. However, because Moses, you are amazed, however, because you practice circumcision, and you have to do it on the Sabbath day," which, wouldn't that be work? So here's the thing. You have two things that end up conflicting with each other: do no work and circumcise on the 8th day. Well, if the 8th day is a Sabbath, you're circumcising on the 8th day. You are, in essence, breaking Sabbath in some ways. So you're upholding circumcision. So you think that's okay to break Sabbath by doing circumcision, but healing a man is not. So he's pointing out the hypocrisy of them. "But if a male child is circumcised on the Sabbath, so that the law of Moses is not broken, why are you angry with me because I made a man completely well on the Sabbath? Do not judge according to the external appearance, but judge with proper judgment." So righteous, honest. So you are looking for a way, you are seeking to come after. You're not within your heart looking at the good that came out of it. You are looking at the obedience that you need to have and disregarding the people. So you are judging according to external appearance, but judge with proper judgment. Then some of the residents of Jerusalem began to say, "Isn't this the man they are trying to kill? Yet here he is speaking publicly, and they are saying nothing to him. Do the ruling authorities really know that this man is the Christ? But we know where this man comes from. Wherever the Christ comes, no one will know where he comes from." So So we had earlier part of the crowd saying, "Who's trying to kill you?" And now we have another group in the crowd that says, some of the residents of Jerusalem. So in other words, the crowd that showed up that's not from Jerusalem doesn't know they want to kill him. What are you saying? People want to kill you. Now some of the residents of Jerusalem are like, "Hey, this is the guy they want to kill. Why is he speaking publicly? Why aren't the authorities trying to kill him? Do the authorities really know this man is a Christ? Like, is he the Christ?" So they're asking the question, but then the conversation goes, "No, he can't be. Because we know whenever the Christ comes, nobody will know where he comes from. And we know where he comes from. He comes from the Galilee. So we know him. He's from Nazareth. So it can't be." So we've got the crowd, some oblivious to the religious leaders, and now a group that knows what the religious leaders are up to. And yet they're still arguing about, like, the crowd is just like, this just sounds like crowds not knowing what's going on and arguing and all of that stuff. Then Jesus, while teaching in the temple courts, cried out, "You both know me and know where I come from, and I have not come on my own initiative, but the one who sent me is true. You do not know him, but I know him, because I have come from him and he sent me." So we're going back to the question of authority, of his teaching, and now he is addressing all of the different groups, the crowd, or the religious leaders that want to kill him. He is addressing the crowd that does not know who he is and why they want him killed, and the group that does believe they know where he is from. He is addressing all of their concerns all at once. "You both know me and know where I come from. And I have not come of my own initiative, but the one who sent me is true. You do not know him, but I know him, because I have come from him and he sent me." So Jesus is making an argument against all of their thinking here that is wrong. "You both know me and know where I come from." Jesus' respond while teaching in the temple is difficult. It appears to concede too much understanding to his opponents. It is best to take the words as irony. So you know me and know where I am from. On the physical, literal level, they did know he was from Galilee, but on the other deeper level, they did not know he came from the Father. Yes, so it could be sarcasm here. "You know me and you know where I come from. I do not come on my own initiative, but I come on the one who sent me. You do not know him, but I know him, because I have come from him and he sent me." So the doubling down here is, I have come from the Father. The Father, I know the Father. The Father knows me. I am here to glorify the Father. He is the one. So they tried to seize Jesus, but no one laid a hand on him, because his time had not yet come. Oh, his time had not yet come. Going back to the argument with his brothers, why is he not going up to the festival and announcing himself? Because his time has not yet come. So even when they go and try to seize him, they are unable to, because his time has not yet come. So going back to he is not lying to his brothers are telling him to go present himself and reveal himself. And he's saying, my time has not yet come. Hence, he's not going to obey what their intent and wishes are. Yet many in the crowd believed in him and said, "Whenever the Christ comes, he won't perform more miraculous signs than this man did, will he?" So, in other words, hey, I can't imagine that when the Christ comes, he could do more than Jesus is. So I'm laying my money down on Jesus. He couldn't do more things than Jesus. Nobody has ever done as many things as Jesus has done. The Pharisees heard the crowd murmuring these things about Jesus. So the chief priest and the Pharisees set officers to arrest him. Then Jesus said, "I will be with you for only a little while longer, and then I am going to the one who sent me. You will look for me, but you will not find me, and where I am, you cannot come." So the Pharisees now hear the crowd and the murmuring, these things about Jesus. So the chief priest and the Pharisees sent officers to arrest him. So both the Pharisees and the chief priests, or servants. The chief priests and the Pharisees is as a comprehensive term for the group representing the ruling council, the Sanhedrin. Yes, I would maybe go in the direction of, whenever it is implying that, I would stay away from just saying the Pharisees, because the Sadducees also make up the Sanhedrin, and I would just say the Sanhedrin. So they are trying to arrest him. Then Jesus has a reply, "I will be with you for a little while longer, and then where I am going to the one who sent me." And you will look for me and you will not find me, because where I'm going, you cannot come. So Jesus is now in some way revealing truth about himself that they are not going to understand. I'm going to go away. I will only be for a little while longer. I'm going to the one who sent me. Well, they keep thinking Joseph is the one who sent me. So if he's going to Joseph, we have the assumption that Joseph has passed away before Jesus starts his ministry. So if they are thinking he's going to his father's, then they might be able to figure out and think of going to death, but probably not. That's probably not what they're thinking. They're probably just confused by this, thinking he's going to Nazareth. What do you mean you're going to see me for a little while and then I'm going to go? It's going to be a totally unanswerable thing for the religious leaders and the people to comprehend, unless they figure out that he keeps referring to the Father. He's going to the Father. He came from the Father. Unless they really figure that out, they're going to miss it. Then the Jewish leaders said to one another, where is he going to go that we cannot find him? So they get stuck on the where I'm going, you cannot come. Like, there is no place you can go that we cannot come. Well, unless you're thinking about going to the dead, maybe, but you could go to the dead, I guess, but you couldn't find him if you go to the dead, unless, depending on how you figure that out. But anyway, not what they're thinking anyway, not what he's thinking. He is not going to go to the Jewish people dispersed among the Greeks and teach the Greeks, is he? What does he mean by saying, you will look for me, but you will not find me, and where I am, you cannot come? So he's going to leave Jerusalem and go to the Gentiles? Is that what he's making a claim? Like, they're trying to think through this logically. They can't figure out an answer. And then they're like, well, that doesn't make sense, because he said we cannot come. Where could he go that we cannot come? And as I was pointing out, even if it was, and they were to think, maybe he's thinking of going down to the grave. Well, we can go down there, but we don't want to. Why would we do that? That's preposterous. So Jesus did go to the festival. He is not fully presenting himself, but to the degree that he did do teaching in the middle of the festival, they have come against him. On the last day of the feast, the greatest day, Jesus stood up and shouted out. So he is now at the last day of the feast. He showed up in the middle. He began teaching. Now we made it to the end of the feast. If anyone is thirsty, let him come to me, and let the one who believes in me drink. Just as the scripture says, from within him will flow rivers of living water. Now he said this about the Spirit, whom those who believe in him were going to receive, for the Spirit has not yet been given, because Jesus was not yet glorified. So we have Jesus speaking of the come to me, those who thirst, and those who believe in me drink. An alternate way to punctuate this would result in 37-38. If anyone is thirsty, let him come to me and drink. The one who believes in me, just as scripture says, from within him will flow rivers of living water. So that's going, but John 7:37-38 has been the subject of considerable scholarly debate. Certainly, Jesus picks up on the literal water use in the ceremony and uses it figuratively. But what does the figure mean? According to popular understanding, it refers to the coming of the Holy Spirit to dwell in the believer. There is some difficulty in locating an Old Testament text which speaks of rivers of water flowing from within such a person. Isaiah 58, the Lord will continually lead you. He will feed you in even a parched land. He will give you renewed strength, and you will be like a well-watered garden, like a spring that continually produces water. Other passages have been suggested. The meaning of the case is that when anyone comes to believe in Jesus, the scripture referring to the activity of the Holy Spirit is in a person's life are fulfilled. When a believer comes to Christ and drinks, he not only slacks his thirst, but receives such an abundant supply that veritably rivers flow out of him. The festival is the festival of booths, where they are living in booths, and one of the things that you needed in the desert was a water source. So maybe you've not heard this version of it, but there is a thought that the one rock that Moses struck that flowed water was carried around with them in the desert. That they picked up the rock, they brought the rock with them, and water continued to flow out of the rock. It's not in scripture. It's some extra biblical Jewish ideas here. But if those were something that was going on and people had thought about it, whether they knew that or believed that or not, there is the idea that water flowing out, water welling up when you are in a desert, because you are in the festival of booths, that you are wandering in the desert, remembering the time of wandering in the desert, a river flowing of water springing up can be the total referent here. Is that we don't have to go find a passage that actually talks about waters flowing in people. Anyone who is thirsty, come to me, and let the one who believes in me drink. So that's the part that Jesus is making the claim. You are thirsty, come to me, just like Moses provided water in the desert when you were in the booths. I do that for you wherever you are. And then John giving a fuller explanation to this being the coming of the Spirit later on. So when they heard these words, some of the crowd began to say, "This really is the prophet." Others said, "This is the Christ." But still others said, "No, for the Christ does not come from Galilee, does he? Does the scriptures that the Christ is a descendant of David and he comes from Bethlehem, the villages where David lived?" So there was division in the crowd because of Jesus. Some of them were wanting to seize him, but no one laid a hand on him. So Jesus is telling them and referring to them and talking about welling up water, and now they're inclined to believe him. Some of them, yes, he's a prophet, okay? Now there's, no, he's the Christ. So they're arguing about, is he the Christ or is he just a prophet? And remember, the Christ is supposed to be, they're supposed to be a prophet like Moses, so he is the prophet, the one like Moses. Others, no, he is the Messiah, the anointed one. And still others, no, he can't be. He didn't come from the right place. Which goes back to the arguing about, where is he coming from? Is he coming from above? That's what he says. And the crowd is saying, no, we know where he's from. Then the officers returned to the chief priest and the Pharisees. So they sent the officers to go arrest him, and they didn't. Who said, "Why didn't you bring him back with you?" The officers replies, "No one ever speaks like this man." So the officers are like, we listened to his words. We've never heard anyone speak like this. We were afraid to take action against him. Then the Pharisees answered, "You haven't been deceived by him too, have you?" None of the members of the ruling council or the Pharisees have believed in him, have they? But this rabble do not know the law are accursed. So the argument begins to be, the officers come back and we couldn't arrest him. We heard what he said. And then they're like, nobody speaks like him. Now the Pharisees are accusing, you have been deceived by him. Nobody here in the council's been deceived by him, have they? Well, we know there's a couple that might have. We'll talk about them later. But this rabble, these lowlife, these riffraffs who do not have and hold to the scriptures, who are not, they believe in him. That shouldn't persuade you. Why are you believing in him? Now, we do have Joseph of Arimathea, who is said to be one of the ruling council. He believes. We have, who went to Jesus in John 3? Nicodemus. Nicodemus is also, seems to be one that does follow or believe in Jesus at some levels, but how fully and right now, not sure. Oh, but we will get Nicodemus speaking up. So Nicodemus, who had gone to Jesus before and who was one of the rulers, said, "Our law doesn't condemn a man unless it first hears him and learns what he is doing, doesn't it?" So they have a question. So Nicodemus, who did go, brings up just a valid point of order. They replied, "You aren't from the Galilee too, are you? Investigate carefully, and you will see that no prophet comes from the Galilee." And each one departed to his own house. So Nicodemus speaks up, just talking about procedural ethics and procedures that they are by law supposed to follow, and you're violating this process right now. You sent to seize him without a hearing. Okay, maybe you were just going to arrest him, and then we could have had the hearing, but you need to have a hearing. That's a valid thing. And so they accuse him of being from the Galilee too. If you are speaking out against, see, cancel culture is nothing new, people. Cancel culture is nothing new. They are trying to cancel Nicodemus shut down his voice because he is pointing out that they are doing something nefarious. And so he gets accused of being like them. You know where he comes from. He comes from the Galilee. No prophet comes from the Galilee. And then they all leave and go to their own homes. The claim by the leaders presents a difficult case, difficult because Jonah had been from Gath Hepher in Galilee. Also, the Babylonian Talmud later stated there was not a tribe in Israel that did not come, where prophets did not come. Two explanations are possible. In the heat of the argument, the members of the Sanhedrin overlooked the fact. This is perhaps the easiest explanation. This anorthoros noun is to be understood as a reference to the prophet of Deuteronomy. Note the rendering of P66, which is articular. So in other words, the prophet is not no prophet. By this time, an eschatological figure in popular belief, this would produce the text of John's gospel a high sense of irony indeed, since the religious authorities, by their insistence that the prophet could not come from the Galilee, displayed their true ignorance of where Jesus came from on two levels. Bethlehem, his birthplace, the fulfillment of Micah, but also from heaven, which his Father sent. The authors do not even bother to refute the false attestation of Jesus' place of the birthplace of Galilee, presuming Christians knew all too well where he came from. So they don't even refute it here. And so in other words, John doesn't even say, but they were wrong in this. No, he just leaves it here. He just leaves it here. At least one early significant manuscript places the article before the prophet. Okay, so that's what we have.